The reputation of the galactic mercenaries, which spanned innumerable star systems, was a combination of specialist instructions. They were employed with unrivaled technology, brutal efficiency, and overpowering might. The top bidder's mercenary code eliminates threats with merciless precision, leaving no opportunity for failure. They declared that nothing could stop them from being the finest, not even alien warlords, rebellious creatures, or unfriendly planets. They had always destroyed everything using a methodical, cold approach. It ensured success. The mercenaries treated it with disdain when they were sent to evaluate Earth. Earth looked like a primitive, chaotic backwater planet from their advanced starships, and humans were merely a curiosity because they were technologically inferior to them. The mercenaries, a species that had only just started to explore the stars, thought they could easily overpower any opposition, destroy any pathetic armed forces that Earth may have had, and get their money with little effort. To the galactic mercenaries Earth's military were made up of antiquated weapons. Countries that were at strife all the time lacked the cohesion and technology to be a serious danger. And the mercenaries didn't even consider their neighbors. They believed that the world's superpowers could only send troops in order to conduct a thorough study of Earth's military. Compared to the highly sophisticated adversaries, those who enter combat ill-prepared and untrained are a minor annoyance they had ever encountered. But Earth possessed a weapon that the mercenaries had not expected, one that wasn't dependent on cutting-edge technology or brute force, but rather on ability, accuracy, and a steadfast faith. What the mercenaries failed to recognize was the human spirit's unwavering will to live. Undervalued the first hint. When the mercenaries came across the Marine Corps of Earth, which was trained in the most environments, these soldiers were mentally tough, disciplined, and ready to face any challenge that Earth's had. The Marines had a special weapon, the sniper, although their technology was not on par with that of the mercenary. They were hunters as well as shooters, having developed their skills over years of specialized instruction. Their weaponry, but also their ability to observe, be patient, and use their surroundings to their advantage. The objective was to attack when the enemy was weak and unprepared, not to fight carelessly. They were silent, undetectable, and lethal. A sniper wasn't merely a useful tool on the battlefield or in the field of war. A sniper was a mere minimum tool. The difference between victory and failure on the battlefield was this specific Marine sniper's. He was well known even among his fellow soldiers for his remarkable accuracy and composure under, put pressure on his ability to blend in with the landscape and eliminate targets at seemingly insurmountable distances. He was unknown to the mercenaries, but they would soon discover the hard way that Sniper was dispatched to a far-off place to provide overwatch during a mission in which the mercenaries designed to demonstrate their dominance over Earth's defenses. But they were unaware that the sniper was already there. He was watching them from miles away, in a silent, nearly undetectable position. Already has a high-value target, one of their leaders, who has the power to make or derail the mercenaries' mission. In addition to seeing the target, the sniper's keen eyes also spotted the wider picture. The mercenaries' hubris in underestimating the first shot marked a watershed in the history of human warriors and their arrogance. But it wasn't simply about removing a target in order to convey a message. The chief of the mercenaries fell. It wasn't a random shot. Rather, it was a calculated one before he ever realized what had hit him. The sniper knew the mercenaries would be perplexed by the flawless strike that was directed at the center of their operation, be confused and frantically trying to locate the attack's origin, which is precisely what occurred from their perspective. The Earth warriors were insignificant, easily defeated ants. But here was an individual out of sight, dismantled their purpose using only terrain and expertise. The mercenaries had been trained to feel that the battlefield was a venue for high-tech weapons, and that only superior technology could defeat them. Despite the overwhelming force, this sniper did not use any of that, because his weapon was basic. The mercenaries scrambled and deployed, but his mind was more acute than any machine they had ever encountered. Drones tried triangulating the sniper's position using their most sophisticated sensors, but they were never successful. They were unable to comprehend the one factor that made her sniper so successful, the ability to strike with accuracy and patience. When, as the sniper continued to kill opponents with surgical precision, the mercenaries caught them off guard. They discovered something important. They were dealing with warriors, not just soldiers. These people had a prophetic dream that no amount of technology could ever fully replace. The galactic mercenaries may have controlled entire star systems, but they had never faced such a threat. The mercenaries' initial goal of destroying Earth's defenses swiftly evolved into a struggle for survival. Earth's warriors believed they could easily defeat the opposition, but in the silence of the Earth's landscape, with just one Marine sniper present, they realized that occasionally it's not the warriors themselves are the weapons that win wars, and the sniper role was easy to stay hidden, to remind the mercenaries and strike with lethal precision that the true measure of Earth's power was not its technological prowess, but rather the hearts and minds of those who defended it in the face of overwhelming odds. In this moment, the galactic mercenaries discovered an important lesson: never undervalue Earth's warriors. The planet's armed forces were a realm other than the usual adversaries of the galactic mercenaries, who took pleasure in their fraternal functionality. Earth's strength was its people, particularly the Marine Corps for the mercenaries, who had never used sophisticated technology. The Marines were the first to realize that their presumptions might not be correct, since they had a thorough understanding of human resiliency. The foundation of the U.S. Marine Corps was discipline, tenacity, and a steadfast dedication to the force's objective, created to overcome the most formidable obstacles and emerge victorious, in contrast to many other military forces in the galaxy. Despite their heavy reliance on modern technology, the Marines adhered to values that had been tried and tested for ages: mental tenacity, physical stamina, and environmental adaptability. Despite not being the biggest or most technologically sophisticated force on Earth, they were feared everywhere. Snipers distinguished out among these troops not because of their size, but rather because of their accuracy and determination. Only detectives formed a group in the hope of taking down the snipers. The power struggle they put in from the start was like nothing. They formed a small group and prepared for battle, but they were also specialists in patience, observation, and nevertheless, their job was to observe and to wait, not to charge into combat or set suppressive fire. Strike when the adversary least expected it. A sniper's objective was straightforward: one shot, one kill. Kill, in contrast to conventional soldiers, who may encounter dozens of adversaries simultaneously, had the difficulty of eliminating their target while staying inconspicuous, perhaps kilometers away. It required patience, stealth, and environmental mastery, where failure meant death, but success meant me. Training to become a Marine sniper was demanding, emphasizing the development of abilities beyond just striking a target. Initial training involved mentally analyzing the landscape and predicting the enemy's next move, while enduring hours or even days of training while keeping an unwavering focus. Required physical stamina, since they frequently had to transport bulky equipment across challenging terrain while preserving total quietness. A sniper's greatest tool was not just their firearm, but also their brain. Marine snipers were masters at remaining composed under duress and anticipating the enemy's moves. They weren't merely soldiers in camouflage. They were part of the art of blending into their environment, surroundings itself, hiding in the landscape and waiting for the ideal opportunity. Their developed patience was vital to their success, since it enabled them to stay hidden even as their adversaries approached. But this patience wasn't free. Snipers had to learn how to cope with being completely alone, as they frequently worked alone for long stretches of time in hazardous situations, dealing with the mental strain of waiting for the ideal time to attack while staying hidden and evading detection. This was a high-stakes game of timing and accuracy, and only the best could flourish in such circumstances at the minimum possible. The idea that every shot mattered and that there was no space for error on any target was at the heart of a sniper's mindset, was thoroughly assessed before pulling the trigger. Wind speed distance. The sniper shot was affected by topography and even temperature. This was not a task for those seeking glory or notoriety. It was for those who could concentrate on the task at hand without being sidetracked and take delight in. The finest snipers were masters of their trade. They did more than simply hit their targets. They were so precise that the target seemed to have never realized what had hit them. The Marine Corps wasn't interested in ostentatious weapons or sophisticated technology. Its snipers were taught to be extremely lethal and efficient. When the mercenaries first came into contact with military personnel, they used just their guns and their instincts, rejected the Marine Corps as just another rudimentary fighting force, even if they believed they had some tactical training. Their sophisticated technology was superior than Earth's armaments, but the mercenaries had misjudged the Marines' capacity for adaptation, and precise combat made them a menace. Especially the Marine sniper hadn't planned for, as the mercenaries were accustomed to using superior firepower to crush their adversaries. They had never encountered a rival capable of destroying their schemes without ever disclosing their intentions. The purpose of the sniper position was to instill dread rather than only kill enemies. The mercenaries thought they were the strongest force and that no other species could match them. However, the activities of the snipers destroyed that illusion, since every time the mercenaries tried to outmaneuver or overwhelm Earth's forces, a Marine sniper was patiently waiting to eliminate each one of them one at a time. Comprehend how a single person with a gun could inflict so extensive harm on the planet. Although mercenaries were protected by technology, a lone human soldier carrying only his weapon and his cunning was making them doubt their supremacy, and the sniper's composed manner contrasted sharply with the mercenaries' dependence on brute force, which they had come to Earth with the hope of winning easily, believing that their technology would guarantee their triumph. But it was soon discovered that Earth's military has a certain ability that technology couldn't duplicate. The Marine sniper personified that determination by staying covert to wait for the ideal opportunity to attack. Every time the mercenaries believed they had the advantage, they were unable to forecast with deadly accuracy the sniper was present, removing their main players, causing mayhem, and shifting the balance of power in the galaxy. In the end, the Marine sniper embodied all that made Earth's military strong: flexibility, endurance, and a readiness to battle because it was their duty, not for recognition or glory. Despite having the most cutting-edge technology in the galaxy, mercenaries couldn't compete with the sniper. Ability to work covertly, stay hidden, and strike with lethal precision when it counted most. Snipers only needed to be the most patient and accurate. They didn't need to be the strongest or fastest. That ultimately demonstrated to the mercenaries that Earth's military power extended beyond their own. Ever comprehended that the Marine sniper had struck with stunning precision in the initial strike, having already determined the terrain, wind, and distance before a senior officer of the galactic mercenaries fell after aiming for the target. Without making a sound, the mercenaries sent a message, not just a slaughter. The Earth military had been undervalued by technology and hubris, and they were going to discover the full cost of that error. The sniper's bullet pierced the atmosphere with lethal precision, but the most severe impact was psychological. The mercenaries were used to a combat where accurate located imagery and numerics were not enough. Some of the Earth military chose to err in their rounds because they were psychologically prudent. He determined the result. Their advanced armaments, like as drones and shields, had always given them the advantage. But the mercenaries were left on Earth as there were no drones to spot the sniper or sophisticated systems to follow him. While the sniper stayed just out of reach, they scrambled in an attempt to find an opponent they couldn't see. Their initial shock, followed by perplexity and panic, went unheard. In engagements throughout the galaxy, they had never encountered a foe capable of striking remotely with such lethal power. As usual, they responded by intensifying their efforts without ever revealing themselves. In an attempt to determine the sniper's location, mercenaries used drones and all available sensors. We refused to turn out our lights and glared the snipers any attempts to stay with us. They started a search, confident that their equipment would find him quickly. But the Earth sniper wasn't that simple to locate. He was unique among his contemporaries because of his ability to blend in, even while surrounded by the wild. Requires sophisticated equipment to be deadly. The longer the sniper stayed out of sight, the mercenary came to understand that the power of the planet lay in its people, not in any great technological edge. Earth had a soldier with a rifle, a mind as keen as a razor, and the patience to overcome the overwhelming force that outlasts any adversary. The sniper was aware that he didn't have to be in a rush. Time was on his side, and the more time the mercenaries spent looking, the less determined they would be. Mercenaries who were accustomed to using superior firepower to enforce their will were defeated in a fight of alternative weapons. They were unable to comprehend how one soldier could change the outcome of a conflict. Every effort to locate the shooter failed, and their confidence grew the more their technology let them down. Weakened, what had started out as a straightforward mission to survey Earth and get rid of any threats, and it became a test of their willpower. They seemed to be filling in their daily sessions with little to no purpose. For own limitations, the shooter was a symbol as well as a danger to their goal of Earth's resilience in the face of insurmountable odds, as the snipers kept hitting, taking down their main men one by one. The mercenaries understood they were no longer comatose. They were outwitted by a human, and the notion that Earth's troops were merely rudimentary soldiers that might be readily routed, they swiftly disappeared after the sniper showed them the capacity to adapt, think under duress, and maintain composure when everything seems lost, is the fundamental essence of human power. The sniper killed another mercenary with every fresh shot, and their ranks became increasingly terrified. It wasn't simply the loss of their allies. It was the knowledge that they were being pursued by a somebody they were unable to see, someone who was somewhat that could not be seen by the terrible portion of their weapons. The mercenaries had never felt the unsettling sensation of always being one step ahead of them. As the sniper persisted in interfering with their mission, the mercenaries were no longer the predators, but rather the victims. Rushed to come up with a solution, but their standard approaches failed. They had to rely on overwhelming firepower on technology to accomplish their prior successes. But against this invisible foe, they had miscalculated the strength of a human soldier who didn't require the newest technology. Therefore, their advanced gadgets were ineffective. Technology, only the determination to live and the ability to make every shot matter. Mercenaries started to doubt their understanding of warfare, as they had always thought that technology was the key to triumph. But on Earth, human ingenuity and talent were triumphant, and their invincibility had been destroyed by a lone sniper whose sole advantage was his capacity to stay undetected and deliver precise shots. Earth's warriors were being punished by mercenaries who had misjudged them. The sniper's success wasn't only invincible. It was about proving to the mercenaries that there was more to fighting than just beating an adversary. Sometimes, a warrior's greatest strength was in their ability to adjust, be patient, and take advantage of technology. The shooter had used the mercenaries' own approach against them by exposing flaws that others were blind to, demonstrating that no matter how sophisticated technology becomes, it will never be able to fully replace the human spirit's capacity to outthink and outlast an adversary. It was too late for the mercenaries to comprehend the full extent of their error. Their operation had already been compromised, and the Earth's warriors had demonstrated to them the high price of underestimating humanity. The sniper had accomplished not only destroying targets, but also educating the mercenaries about Earth's actual might wasn't in its technology, but rather in its people, as demonstrated by the Marine sniper, that a single person with a weapon and the determination to fight may be a stronger force than any could use a starship or weapon. And ultimately, that was the lesson the mercenaries would never forget, as the mercenaries started to suffer the full impact of their underestimate of Earth's forces as the conflict continued. A sniper, a mystery they couldn't understand, had turned into a horror that their advanced weapon systems had created, were rendered ineffective against an adversary that operated patiently and in secrecy in order to identify and eliminate dangers. The more the mercenaries attempted to adjust, the more they understood that the sniper was engaging in more than simply physical combat battlefield, but they had already prevailed in the psychological fight, so they weren't sure of their supremacy. As usual, strategies that outweigh firepower, sheer force, and technical superiority no longer made sense. The sniper's laser-like focus and accuracy had upended their preconceived notions about warfare. The mercenaries had arrived on Earth anticipating a simple mission, thinking that their cutting-edge weapons and tactics would defeat anything Earth might produce. Instead, an unseen power that they couldn't even resist was removing them, one by one, undervalued humanity's capacity for adaptation and strategic thought. The longer as their technology deteriorated, the mercenaries' reliance on drones, surveillance devices, and energy shields to keep them safe. But the sniper didn't like their devices. His purpose was his entire concern, and his focus rendered him unstoppable. In contrast to the sharpshooter, collaborated with mercenaries who were accustomed to operating with vastly superior technology. He didn't require any of the simplicity of his gun, his keen eyes, or the terrain. The mercenaries believed they were unbeatable because they only required patience and time, two things that Selassie had crossed boundaries. The psychological toll that the mercenaries had sustained was substantial. They had long been trained to use firepower to impose a solution while confronting obstacles head-on. However, this was distinct. The sniper posed no threat, and they could beat it by merely directing additional firepower toward it. There were no grand wars or direct encounters, just the long, plodding loss of their allies, the decline in their self-esteem, and the slow recognition that they were being defeated by a lone human soldier. The mercenaries were unable to capture their unseen enemy and started to create errors. Their previously coordinated plans started to fall apart, and in their desperation, they turned to their dominant technology more than before, yet they were often let down by it. The sniper didn't have to fight directly with his own existence. Alone was sufficient to weaken the mercenaries' resolve. But the ongoing danger of death from an invisible foe was more discouraging than any physical altercation. The mercenaries used to subjugate their opponents using overwhelming force were now only left with doubt at every turn. Every step they made could have been their last. But the sniper didn't simply beat the mercenaries physically, but he also beat them intellectually, demonstrating to them that battle was about more than just the mercenaries. The mercenaries had grown overly dependent on their technology and overconfident in their capacity to overpower other warriors. They had called Havelock to their warriors, had forgotten the one element that made them genuinely dangerous, regardless of the opponent. The sharpshooter demonstrated the capacity to think, adapt, and outlast by. With each murder, he demonstrated that the military might of Earth should not be undervalued. His command of his focus and patience had revealed the fatal flaw in the mercenaries' belief that technology alone could prevail in a conflict. And when the mercenaries retreated, they took not only the psychological toll of losing to a human sniper, in addition to the physical wounds of defeat. They had come to Earth thinking they were better than everything this planet had to offer, but ultimately it wasn't. Their incapacity to use their superior military strategies, technology, or weapons was what ultimately brought them to ruin. To comprehend the actual power of their adversaries, humanity possessed a distinct form of resilience that was independent of devices or machinery. But the sniper's intelligence, willpower, and capacity to withstand pressure had demonstrated the not. Mercenaries that even the most determined soldiers might create with just a rifle and a strong desire to achieve. The mercenaries discovered the hard way that the advanced army in the galaxy questioned their fundamental strategy for fighting wars. The sharpshooter made the deadly error of underestimating Earth's warriors with his quiet application. Sometimes the most dangerous opponents weren't the ones who charged. As demonstrated by tenacity and deadly precision, they were the ones who knew how to wait before charging into a conflict with all guns blazing, how to attack at the ideal moment, and how to cause their adversaries to doubt everything they believed to be true battle. It was too late for the mercenaries to recognize the full extent of their mistake. They had already lost, not merely the battle, but the sniper had demonstrated their conceit, self-assurance, and faith in their own invincibility, that the capacity to think and adapt, rather than technology, was what won wars. And the mercenaries would never forget that lesson. It was a lesson for Earth warriors, to fight with everything you had. The Marine sniper in particular had shown them in the most agonizing manner conceivable that the sniper's success was not only due to his talent, it demonstrated the greater fortitude of Earth's warriors against tremendous technological advantage. But it wasn't the automated drones, sophisticated weapons, or robots that led. The human element, the unwavering determination to outsmart, outlast, won the war and persevere despite all odds. The sniper's ability to reverse the mercenary strategy wasn't only about superior shooting. It was about taking advantage of their excessive dependence on technology, something the mercenaries hadn't foreseen. They thought they would have an advantage on any battlefield because to their sophisticated equipment and systems, but the sniper didn't need. He used their type of firepower without the need for expensive devices or machinery. Instead, he applied his understanding of the topography and the surrounding scenery, his patience and ability to remain hidden. Every choice he made and every action he took was planned, and every shot was made precisely. He knew that an overwhelming force was the secret to success, but the mercenaries' ability to spot opportunities, take advantage of flaws, and strike with lethal precision made them treacherous. For years, they had depended on technological dominance to smash any opposition, and they now doubt their fundamental notion of combat. Opposition, but they couldn't track the sniper, so it didn't matter. They were unable to anticipate his actions, and worse, they were unable to stop him. Their self-assurance, stemming from their conviction that they were technologically superior, collapsed because they had grown so used to the value of their positions and how magic they felt in it. They were unable to imagine a world in which a single soldier could change the course of history in order to triumph with superior firepower. The sniper engaged in combat without firing a single shot until it was too late, having used a weapon more potent than he was aware of. The fundamental reality of combat, which is that how you utilize your equipment matters more than their quantity. Despite the fact that the mercenaries hurled everything at him, neither their firepower nor their sensors would determine the result. It was their mentality that had undervalued the ingenuity of a single person. Warriors who rely on technology to perform the labor-intensive tasks overlook the most essential component of combat: human will to battle. In each battle they anticipated would surpass their opponent, they had never thought that the sniper's methods may force the opponent to fight on their terms. The mercenaries may not have had the courage to face the unsettling reality that they were not invincible, the same technological advantages, but they possessed a capability that the mercenaries hadn't taken into consideration. Mercenaries doubt their superiority and the strength of ignorance. When they started to lose their resolve over where or when the next attack would occur, the sniper had reversed the situation. Not with a demonstration of force combined with a demonstration of tactical and mental supremacy by the predators. It was too late when the mercenaries realized they were losing the battle. They had already miscalculated the Earth's warriors' tenacity and inventiveness, and they were suffering as a result. The sniper had demonstrated to them that no matter how advanced technology became, it could never fully replace the most important things. In that straightforward, silent battlefield, the sniper possessed the human mind, an ingredient of war. It demonstrated that the will to battle, to outthink and outsmart others, was more important for victory than equipment, firepower, or numbers. To outlast the mercenaries had anticipated a simple victory when they arrived on Earth, but they painfully realized that a human soldier who didn't need to be there was the most lethal foe they could encounter. Anything more than a gun, a keen intellect, and the motivation to learn the lesson, even if it was expensive. Mercenaries learned that Earth's power wasn't in its own. Its people possessed the technology, firepower, and advanced weapon systems. Sniper has demonstrated that with unwavering skill, perseverance, and smart thinking, he had demonstrated to the mercenaries that Earth was a powerful force that could not be undervalued in the end. The fight was ultimately determined by humans, rather than by overwhelming firepower or technology. Something that, no matter how sophisticated their technology got, the mercenaries would never be able to duplicate. Resolve, the capacity to persevere, adjust, and never give up, and that was the ability to adapt and ultimately survive, was what ultimately created the distinction. As the sharpshooter kept outwitting the mercenaries, turning the battleground into more than a test of firepower, it turned into a test of nerves, patience, and wisdom. Once confident in their victory, mercenaries were now on the defensive, frantically trying to understand what was taking place, and they were losing because they were engaged in a war of minds rather than a combat of machines. He dismissed Earth's warriors too quickly and believed that the technological edge would prevail. But the human spirit's capacity for thought that robots could never imitate was something they had overlooked. The sharpshooter only needed to weaken the mercenary group in order to win. He didn't have to destroy them all. With each shot and each successful hit he made, he helped them realize they weren't as strong as they thought.